Excellent, we're recording so that people can do this later. So we're already having fun talking about springtime stuff, gardening, vacuuming, all the things and what you need to do to stay healthy. I want to show you another visual of how to that's one of the best poses I know for igniting this part of the body. So I call it the robot belly, just for short. Robots don't really have belly muscles and stuff, but you guys get what I mean. Because we're training these muscles, which are directly opposite the low vertebrae and the sacral iliac crest, where so many people sustain injury and pain. So last week we did a bunch of stuff with our standing kind of toothbrushing. I don't know how many of you, by the way, played with that to notice that it really does make a difference to have the head in alignment with the rest of the spine, and that if you drop, it immediately directs pressure and pull down to the low back. But I catch myself doing that all the time. My back gives me a fast enough feedback that I'm like, yeah, that's not good. Get that head aligned. So if you haven't already done that in your toothbrushing, play with that. But downward facing dog is actually a really fun place to play with, igniting this area of the body and noticing how it changes downward facing dog for you. Obviously, in that pose, we have to be using our arms or we'd be on our head. But what I'm hoping you'll notice, I'm going to show you a movement where I kind of go forward out of downward dog, almost like I'm going a little bit towards plank, not much. And then I reignite the deepest kind of A shape as I can, but it's not by pushing more with the arms, it's by drawing back through that low robot belly. And I'm hoping that just seeing me do it will help make a little more sense of it. So, and remember, by the way, in downward facing dog, you can always have your hands a little wider than the shoulders. That may be important in order to create comfort through the neck and trap muscles. And again, as I've said, that's always one of my focuses, keeping that part of the body healthy and happy. But when we get into weeding and gardening and all the other biking and stuff, it becomes even more imperative to be conscious of that. So find your downward facing dog, hopefully with an easeful neck. Sometimes I shake my head a little, rotate those shoulders open. You can have your feet wide or kind of in that classic mountain stance if you'd like, totally up to you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come forward a little bit, inhale, exhale, belly to spine. I did nothing in my arms, I swear to God, not one iota of change. It's just that harness of the low belly moving me back and into space. And then from there, I can work my heels towards the floor and find myself in a pretty significant hamstring stretch through the calf, through the Achilles, through the plantar fascia, etc. So that stretch is greatly enhanced also by the power from here. Could you see that visually? I mean, did that make sense? And you kind of imagine? Good. I think it'll make sense when you're in your body doing it too. Awesome. Well, let's get started. I think I want to start us off on our front body today. I know we don't often do that. I like throwing that in there every once in a while. So come on down to your abdomen. Get comfortable if it's turning your head to one side and using your forearms underneath or having your forehead on your hands, having your arms back, literally whatever is comfy. One of the reasons I like starting face down is that it creates a little more introversion. We have so much going on in our lives individually and collectively. It can be difficult to direct our attention into our body. And our body positioning can assist us with that. As you begin to tune inward, perhaps looking up into that third eye point and watching the breath moving in your body, begin to notice where you feel fabric moving against your skin. It is so good to be alive in these bodies, even if they have some pain or discomfort or even illness we're dealing with, it can be powerful to recognize that the majority of our systems are working beautifully. We are here, ambulatory, breathing, smiling, and I celebrate all of that with you. On the inhales, I'm hoping you might notice the subtle movement of your abdomen against the yoga mat, and how that last part of the breath then shifts into the back body, creating a little massage all along the spine for all those nerves and veins. Beginning the practice of asking of the breath, is there more? So we become breath watchers. Is there more inhale? Can I find the gap? And then is there more exhale? You might add your ujjayi, great sounding breath, contracting the throat slightly, as another tool for monitoring the breath and staying present. Continuing breath attention, inviting you to bend the knees and just begin to gently windshield wiper the lower leg, side to side. Or sometimes people enjoy the crossing and the opening. So this gives us some gentle mobility into the hip joints and the low spine. And frankly, a great opportunity to notice if there's already some feelings of instability or sensitivity there. And then we're going to relax the left leg to the floor and bring the right knee out into a frog pose. So just bringing it out into a half frog like so. I'm going to turn my face the same direction as the knee. It's just most comfortable. And on your exhale, inviting you to engage the right butt cheek down towards the floor. Hold, squeeze, and then relax. Let's do that one more time. Nice glute squeeze. And then we'll switch legs. Nice and slow switch. Turning your head to the left. Squeezing that left butt cheek down towards the mat. I usually do it with the exhale, but you can do it however you like. Nice big inhale, releasing, softening. One more exhale, engaging down. And releasing back to center. Good. And then asking you now to just rock your hips like so. So I've got my legs still on the floor, and I'm just rocking. If this hurts or something, obviously don't do it. And then we're going to just roll over onto our left side and support your head however you'd like. Flex your left foot so that lower leg is very active as you reach for your right ankle. Yeah, and we're doing a little quadricep stretch here. See if you can let your right knee settle back down towards the left leg. Let the shoulder blade wing in towards the spine. And enjoy some nice breaths there. Remember, the more you engage your glutes, the more stretch you'll get. Think about sending your pelvis a little more towards that right edge of the mat and just see if it gives you something a little more nuanced. Of course, the breath is always the biggest change agent. When you feel complete on this side, slowly moving to the other side. Maybe via your belly, your back, however you like. So we're on the right side. Activating that right leg along the floor, heel flex, beautiful, nicely done. I always say that's a sign of someone who's really taking yoga experience into their body is activity through the feet. No longer being somebody who just has floppy feet, doesn't know where they are. Is this side different? Now, if your leg is up high and you're able to settle it towards the other leg, please do. And sending your pelvis towards that right edge of the mat. Some of you, I can see that your floor leg is actually in front of your hips. You want it straight down from your hips. There you go. Nice change there. And of course, as you know, we do this pose lots of ways, right? We do it standing, we do it on our belly, but I wanted you to have an alternative way to do it today. All right, slowly rolling onto your belly once more. We're going to come into our forearm plank. I really recommend knees down for your first expression today, partly because I think it's much easier to notice any misalignments and weird tensions and to correct them. So as you're ready, shoulder heads down, tuck the tailbone, and you're on your knees. Breathing, noticing. And let's come into some very intentional breath. Breath is where we get our energy, our focus. So again, nice soft eyes and neck, reaching long through the crown of the head so the head is neither dropped nor craning forward. See if you can do 3 more breaths with integrity, meaning kind of peaceful, where you can be, powerful where you need to be. Maybe you can bring breath even more into your ribs, back, front, and side. 1 more. Releasing into whatever position. Please join me in 3 silent breaths. These breaths are a beautiful way to affirm I am whole, I am well, I am safe. Beautiful. When your 3rd one is complete, we're going to come into our jet airplane. So I'm going to bring my hands back, palms down, shoulder heads circle. You might even make a couple of circles until you get those shoulder heads as far away from your ears and the floor as possible. Anchor the pelvic triangle, pubic bone and hip bones, so that creates a pretty significant glute squeeze. And then as you're ready, inhaling, extend into your airplane flight. Is there more? Exhale, either descend all the way, forehead touching floor again, or at least just sort of dip before extending and elevating your flight again. Letting breath be your guide. It's like you are an object bobbing on the wave. For the next couple of breaths, see if it would feel natural in your body to hold in your flight, perhaps adding a reach of 1 arm forward, 1 arm back. Perhaps you want to briefly extend legs and reach both arms forward in Superman. And then please press back to your child's pose, or if that's bothersome on knees, remember you can just go to your belly again or ragdoll. Child's pose and ragdoll are both marvelous for releasing the low spine. And ragdoll in particular, I used a bunch in the garden this weekend as a great way to release some of those kind of hyper tight muscles from weeding and raking and all of that. Big belly breath, you should feel it show up in your low back. Good, and we're going to come from here into forearm plank again. So just make sure to tuck your tailbone, come on down to your forearms, and if you do just a little cow cat, it'll get you into that nice supportive back or belly muscles for the back. And then you can step back actively 1 leg at a time onto the ball of the foot, heels flexed. Shoulder heads anchor down, neck is soft. And we've got options of ways to intensify this. If you want to raise 1 foot like you're pushing onto the wall behind you, that can ignite some wonderful muscles that maybe aren't usually awake. You can check and make sure you're not using your neck to create the pose. When you're complete, come out, turn your head to the other side. 3 more sighing breaths. So we're practicing being powerful doers and people who can soften into non-doing. We were talking about vacation earlier, and I'm reminded that over the years I've talked to so many people who said that, you know, if they go on a week vacation, they don't relax until day 5. And I'm like, that's tragic. Let's get better at this. Let's do better. So practicing a little bit during our yoga, but also in your life daily, really practicing settling into the moment. Right? Maybe you're enjoying your cup of coffee and looking out at the things that are popping and growing. Maybe you're having a meal with a loved one, just really settling into it and being present. So powerful. All right, we're going to come into one more round of our flight. I'm going to recommend arms straight out, but you still want to anchor those shoulder heads down. Palms are straight out from the body, but facing the floor. Forehead resting, pelvis anchors. And at first, just raise the arms, leaving the head on the floor for a moment. Because I think it gives us much greater awareness of what's actually happening in the back of the shoulder and whether we can ignite more lift. Then when it feels appropriate, go ahead and extend the head and the spine as well into your flight. How's that feeling? You guys feeling some heat? Yes, I'm good. I'm seeing some little head nods. Lovely. You guys are awesome. Take one more breath here, and if it feels like you want to raise legs, if you haven't done that yet, feel free. Exhaling, release, and once more, please press back to your child's pose or your alternate. Maybe it would feel good to take your arms a little to one side and then the other. I was noticing, not for the first time, but after my gardening adventure, how much tension, if you're using your body right, how much tension actually shows up in that area below the armpit, right? Lat muscles, intercostals, holy Toledo. I was sore and tight. This pose felt really good. Come on back, and when you're ready, you're going to tuck that tailbone to come up into table pose, little cow cat to move into our downward facing dog. Is there more? All right, on your next exhale, using that robot belly, I know we haven't done robot pose yet, I'll work it in later, but use that same low robot belly to take you into downward facing dog from the start, if you can. I know, again, sometimes if it's not awake, it can be hard to communicate with it. Find your comfortable hand in the arm position. On your inhale, slide those shoulders forward a little bit. On your exhale, think that low belly, robot belly to spine. Use that to send the hips up and back and work the heels towards the floor. Let's do that a few more times. Good, I'm seeing some real movement. Do you guys feel that difference when you're not asking the arms to do it? Love it. Love it, love it. All right, we're going to walk the hands back to the feet, have all the fun in the journey, pushing with one arm at a time. And then if you take your feet a little wide as you're hanging out in this rag doll, you're
And take your hips side to side and create some marvelous massage along that side leg, IT band area, etc. Invitation for yoga mudra. Those of you who can enjoy it here, and you just intertwine your fingers behind the back. On an inhale, we're going to come up using those fists to press back and down as we kind of sit our butt to chairs. We learned to last week. And come on up. Beautiful. Inhaling, everyone sweep your right arm up to the sky and let it come over to the left a little. Inhaling back up to center and exhaling over to the left. Good. We're going to switch, inhaling that left arm up to the sky and exhaling more to the right. So when you're doing this, make sure you're not collapsing through that right side, right? Really staying long. It's like you're trying to touch the ceiling the whole way. Marvelous. And releasing down. Let's take our hands behind the neck, make a little collar. This is one of my favorite ways to just listen and release any neck tension that might be in there. Letting the head drop back onto the collar of the hands can be so therapeutic. And come on out, and we're going to come into our nerve flossing. I was thinking about you guys a bunch actually when I was meeting. I was like, I wonder if anybody besides me does nerve flossing, you know, every few days or whatever. Anybody else kind of getting into it? You've been doing the, through the feet you've been doing it. Cool. When you're laying down. Yeah. Nice. Again, you can feel the calves and everything getting some amazing lubrication. So just a reminder, when we're doing this, you don't want to go so far that that shoulder is rotating forward in the socket. So keep the shoulders absolutely stable and just move the hands as far as they go. It should be far enough to get some sensation in the elbow, wrist, some combination of those. Yeah. Does anybody else watch the series Regime? Well, there's a head of state of some, European country, fictitious, but she says yeah a lot, yeah, and so now I cannot say that word without immediately hearing her in my head. I'll tell you, powerful stuff. It's like I've been indoctrinated. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do the other two quick platter. If you're holding a tray of drinks, and then you are dumping your tray of drinks down into the outside, keeping that wrist flexed. You got it. And then back up you come. And here too, you just want to be sort of natural through the shoulder. I don't want to be cranking on it or doing something funky. You want to be going straight to the outside, not forward the body, straight to the outside best you can. And then let's find the other side. So when I started this, I did it in a mirror and I looked to see where my hand was going. Because again, you want it like straight out to the side of the body, not forward of the body, or you won't get this sensation. And it's a lot, you're moving your hand and you're oh, it's like, what? But I think watching your alignment can really help. Yeah. So I encourage you to notice if this side is different. Is it more intense, less intense? All right, and then the last one is that getting the tips from behind, right? So I start with my hand in front, and I use this as an opportunity to really flex my fingers wide and get a stretch through here, because if you're doing a lot of gripping, which we also do in this pose, but just life, it's really wonderful to get that counter stretch. So I've got my hand in front, and then I bring it behind with my fingertips kind of moving towards each other, like someone's gonna put a little coin right there in the little pocket. And then hand is open again in front. bring it back to the point. So this is more effective when the arm goes straight. So you're really activating through the elbow. If you're wanting more intensity, you could experiment with rotating your little beak, as I think of it, with those fingertips to the outside. And then we'll do the other side. And I just find, this is not only helpful because it's helping floss the nerve line, which by the way, these run all the way up into your cranium. So we're not doing the head movements that accentuate that end of things, but it explains why so often people, if they just, try to relieve carpal tunnel pressure at the wrist, doesn't necessarily resolve it or things come back, is because there's a tension line all the way up. And so we want to address that regardless of whether we've had surgery or not. We really want to keep fluid line in all those nerve channels. So notice, maybe you're feeling something in just one of these, all three of them, maybe just on one side. This is all great information, right? And it kind of tells you where to put your attention perhaps in the coming days. All right, roll that all out. Nice. I want to come on to our backs and we're going to do our robot. And just in case this is useful for any of you, if it's new to you, I recommend just having the hands on the thighs because you don't want to, there's one thigh that's going to be stable all the time and you don't want to unconsciously move it, which people do. But if you don't need that, if you've been doing this a bit and you're a little more coordinated with it, you can have your arms straight up and take the opposite arm behind you. But I want to point out, it's not bending. I'm not trying to touch the floor. It's staying absolutely straight and I'm reaching and I'm making sure that I didn't lose contact through that low back. And what I've experienced is that sometimes even one extra little inch forward of the foot or knee will tilt my pelvis such that the low back isn't anchored. It would look like it's touching to the casual eye, but that's not the same as anchored. So when in doubt, start small, looking good. Keep the heels flexed, toes up towards your kneecaps, unless it's gonna make you cramp. And you're keeping your knees bent 90 degrees. So you wanna find your neutral. And then the only thing that moves is the hip hinges. Don't let that other knee move. Start both hands, again, if this is new or you haven't done it for a long time, both hands on the fronts of the thighs. Take a big inhale. Exhale, make sure you root that low back, push into the earth. So one of the things that I want you to play with, if this is again new or you feel that there's an inherent lack of communication with that low belly, is can you hold neutral and breathe? And that neutral is knees straight up from the hip joints, the back anchored. It's a lot of work for me. I mean, by the way, for 2 weeks straight, I just did the knees. I used my hands to remind a stable knee not to move because otherwise you're not going to get the same work. So that was my method. Right, so start small, start simple. And I've had so many people over the years say, yeah, if I just do the knees and I just move it an inch or two and then I hold and breathe, you actually get better abdominal work. Because if this is new to you, if you start doing all the limbs, I guarantee your pelvis is going to be tilting ever so slightly and you're going to lose that activation, that low robot belly. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's part of why I like holding in flight, as I call it, which is that sort of, holding in that position where one knee is away from me and breathing, because it gives me time to observe what's happening. Is my belly popping out? Can I draw that low belly in? Good. It's so great when I look out and I see everybody doing some slightly different version as you're investigating this in your body. Yeah, if you want to up your core power game, doing this for like 3 rounds back and forth every day would be powerful. You just did like 20. So you're probably ready to be done. I'm ready to take you into our bridge pose. So when you're ready, plant your feet, bring the block between the knees. And we're gonna come out and in with bridge ever so slowly. Or, in and out, however you wanna think about it. Work your shoulder blades a little towards the spine, lift your chin up and back. And that should create a nice peaceful experience for the neck, I hope so. Take a nice long inhale, is there more? Exhale, belly to spine, spine to floor, and then as the pelvis curls up, lift the hips to your bridge. Is there more? Exhale, is there more? On the inhale, descend as slowly as you can. And so one of my challenges, I'm not assuming it's going to be everybody's, but if you're also kind of a chronic neck tightener like I am, one of my challenges is to make sure that I'm isolating and using the butt and thigh muscles to slow the descent, not propping with my neck or arms. We'd love to have our tongue just lightly connected at the roof of the mouth, no aggressive squishing up there. Sometimes to help with that, I imagine a delicate flower bud or something that I don't want to squish in my mouth. All right, the next time we're going to add our foot hover. I prefer doing it without the block. So coming on up, make sure your feet are not terribly far apart or it'll be unnecessarily hard. We'd love to slowly lift one foot at a time. And as with so many of these other movements, we would love to make sure that we're using the right stuff, right? So it should be the butt cheek and thigh of the standing leg that's doing the majority of the work. Scan your neck and shoulders. Scan your breath. Create ease. Is one side different? Do they become more symmetrical as you proceed? That's been my experience. Like it wakes up those muscle groups that I need to hold me steady. All right, when that's complete, let's give ourselves a little dessert in reclined pigeon. If you prefer classic pigeon, go for it. Otherwise, right here, right ankle, crossing onto left thigh, heel flex to stabilize the knee. You might wag the knee a little towards you and away before raising the left leg and hugging the right knee as tightly towards the chest as you can, and then sending it a little towards the center line. You might also enjoy some version of this that could be your hand on the foot so that you're able to kind of adjust the angle of that right leg and shin bone that brings you, I hope, the best stretch ever. Again, no neck effort. The elbows are winging in, shoulders are down the back. This is all about lat muscles and core, folks. And of course, breath. All right, when you feel complete on that side, you might give it a kick out and then explore the other side. Again, heel flex. Yeah, what are you noticing? Is this side different? Does the stretch evolve when you direct breath? When you imagine all the way down into the hips, even though we know the breath doesn't actually arrive at the hips, right? It's in the lungs. But the breath stretch can reach incredibly far in the body. In fact, one of my favorite poses to explore that is forward fold. So when we come out of here, we'll come onto our feet and explore breath stretch there. Please take all the time and however you'd like to get there. But if you enjoy spinal rocking, it can be kind of fun to use that core body, belly drawing into your back to direct your propulsion onto your feet, forward fold, Inhale, give it room. Maybe have your hands on the floor, a block, or even up on the shins. Exhale, belly to spine. Fold deeply, compression. We'll do that twice more. Is there more? The next time you have folded, please hold in the fold and breathe deeply. This is a challenging place to inhale, of course. And I'm hoping that that will help you, in fact, get breath stretch at the very end, deeper into the hamstrings, hips, and so on. Are you guys feeling that? Yay! One more. Your choice of yoga mudra or no to come into our chair pose to root and rise. So as you're ready, drop that butt, arms come forward and up. Big glute squeeze at the top. Exhale and resolve in prayer hands. We're going to take both arms up and I'm going to give you a choice. We did that stretch before where it was just one arm at a time, which your neck might prefer. Or you can clasp your right hand onto your left wrist and you're going to go right. Or you can have your hands in steeple, which is an intertwining of the fingers and just keeping the fingertips up and the thumbs together. And some people enjoy that. It can give you a little extra power to squeeze those upper arms in towards the ears. Remember, this isn't about how far you go. It's about feeling a really satisfying stretch through the side body and breathing into it. And if you haven't already switched, let's find that other side. So it'll be left hand on right wrist, if that's what you're doing, or just right arm, or steeple hands. You're anchoring firmly through both feet, kind of engaging those thighs towards each other so you're not hip cocking or bending the knee. One more deep breath. And release, please, to your jet airplane arms, finding, I hope, a powerful and peaceful neutral. We worked last week a lot on checking your chin and bringing it back towards the base of the skull so that your neck just feels ooey gooey. On your next inhale, sweeping slowly out and up. Enjoy the journey. Feel what's happening in the arms and shoulders. Exhaling, prayer hands, left knee lift, standing crane. Soft tongue. Just the connection at the tip. On an exhale, stepping slowly back to your crescent lunge. So your right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. We're going to come into our jet airplane arms and go up and down a couple of times. Making sure that when we're in that up position, that we aren't jutting the ribs forward. It's tempting because we want to feel so open. But I want us to be right here in our core because the next time we bring those arms down, we're going to hinge and create a powerful line from that back foot through the crown. Now yours might just be a small hinge. You don't have to go big, but you might go parallel with the floor. If so, remember you're drawing back into the body with that robot belly with your ribs. And it could allow you to even briefly send those arms forward if you'd like. Exhaling, step back, downward facing dog, and take that right leg flying. So the leg that was forward, take it right up to the sky. You got it. Bend the knee and rotate open through that right hip. Keep using the robot belly to send the torso back towards the standing leg. You can look under the armpit. You got it. And exhaling, we're going to bring that right knee briefly into pigeon. Now, this is not a big, deep pigeon. I'm not cranking this foot forward, so it should be pretty decent on most people's knees, okay? We don't like to do a deep pigeon for knee joint issues, but right here, I'm hoping you just feel a good stretch into that right kind of IT band and thigh. You guys feel that? Yeah, I mean, if you're not tight through that area, they'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Most of us feel it. If you can settle your forehead on your fist, that might feel good. And we're going to do a little bit of Kapalabhati or kind of bellows breathing throughout the fire, depending on how you think of it and how you pace it. But it's a rapid in and out through the nose. And the exhale, you're powerfully directing the abdomen towards the spine. And then we'll take a nice long inhale, and on your exhale, just dump it through the mouth. Good, nice core support, belly to spine. Coming onto my hands, I'm gonna draw the heart forward. I might not come very high, so this might be my pose right here. Shoulder blades are anchored, elbows anchored. Exhaling, come onto the ball of the back foot, raise the hips, and step back, downward facing dog. Nice core support. Invitation for spinal pumping. Either go to hands and knees for cow cat or join me in dog series. Inhaling to your plank, knees or feet. Good. You might check that you're in your core because you can hop. Exhaling, chaturanga. It might just be a 1-inch elbow bend. Very powerful. Remember, sometimes small is powerful. Otherwise, lowering all the way. And down the floor into that pelvis for cobra pose. Broad heart. Good. Belly takes you back, downward facing dog. We're going to end up at the front of the mat. And one fun way can be hopping. And this also requires that core. So you bend the knees and look forward, and then high up, belly to spine, hop and fold. Inhaling, drop that butt to chair, and come on up. Exhaling, prayer hands. Let's take a neutral breath here to just settle. Sometimes it can be a little dizzying going upside down, and yeah. Nice work. I'm hearing some great ujjayi, and you guys look really peaceful. Well done, yogis. Remember, we breathe into the back of our lungs as well. It can be so wonderful. Get a little massage back there. Your next inhale, slowly as you can, sweeping out and up. Exhaling, prayer hands, lifting that right knee, standing crane. Breathing here, noticing balance, reigniting that power down into the earth, keeping those hip bones straight forward as you step back, but I always check them again once I've landed, and I steer, in this case, left hip bone back, right hip bone forward. Remember that inner thigh like you're squeezing a piece of paper, and we'll go in and out of jet airplane to an upper reach. Maybe your hands like coming all the way together, maybe they stop parallel. A lot of people think of yoga as trying to get super flexible, and actually we do need flexibility in some areas that are contracted, but a lot of yoga is actually about stability, joint stability and core stability, spine stability, balance stability. As you're ready, finding jet airplane, make sure you get contracted back with those ribs, boom, to be able to hinge in a sustainable, easeful way. All the power happening where we want it to, in the leg and butt, and then that belly. Soft mouth, soft gaze, and maybe briefly reaching forward through the arms if you want a little more intensity. And then planting the hands for downward facing dog, left leg flying, bend the knee, open the hip, check it out. What's happening in your shoulders? Have they gone forward over the wrists? If so, what do we do? Robot belly. Belly to spine, sending the torso towards that knee. One more big inhale. And then slow journey to your pigeon. Left knee lands behind the left wrist. Now, if you've got your knee more towards the center and it's feeling good, great, no problem with that. Anywhere in there, as long as you're feeling a great stretch through butt and thigh muscles and no strain at the joint, you've got a magnificent pose. And you might choose to settle the forehead. As you're ready, coming into some bellows breath, that rapid in and out through the belly. Well, you're breathing through the nose, but it's the abdomen that's creating that. Looking good. One more big inhale. Dump it through the mouth. Yeah. Love it. Take your time to journey out. I like doing that, what I call waking pigeon, but hands planting and just drawing that heart forward. Sometimes you get a really nice inhale. See, we can sometimes bring the ribs forward. You don't always have to draw them back. Exhaling, we want them back when we're in our power though, right? Boom, send them back as you move to downward facing dog. You got it. Invitation for, again, either cow-cat or dog series. As you inhale to your plank, notice what it was like last time, and if you feel anything other than just super strong, come to your knees so you can feel that stability. And then, oh yeah, beautiful. Isn't a small chaturanga amazingly powerful? Those first few inches, that was gorgeous. Looking good. We're going to be popping to our back body, which I'm hopeful will feel good. Before we do, I want to throw this out for any of you who like bow pose, because bow pose will be beautiful right now. You could also just recreate the quadricep stretch we did on our side, or if you prefer standing. But if you're comfortable with bow pose, while you're on your belly, anchor the pelvis, get a hold of one ankle and then the other, right? And then you press both ankles back into the hands and it peels your chest open off the floor. It's a challenging place to breathe and also a really exciting one because you feel immediately the impact of the abdomen and the floor against it. Because we definitely never want to do this bow pose if you feel ouch in the knee joints, for example. But if you find that there's just a reason, like arthritis in knees, etc., that you don't have quite the mobility to get the bend that you need to grab your hands on the ankles, you can use the strap. So you anchor that pelvis and then press the ankles away from you until it peels that chest open. Yeah, right? Letting the head hang enough that it's in neutral with the spine. We don't want to be actively looking forward. Because in general, it should be a better chest stretch. Nice. Then when you're done, we're coming onto our back and spinal twist, and you can just roll over like a log. You don't have to flip end for end, whatever you want. And I swear, almost every time we do spinal twist, I hear a kind of an aha from somebody, and that lets me know that like this is something we're all learning in our own time. In spinal twist, our goal is actually to have the legs anchored, not the arm. I've had people be like, but if I put my legs on the floor, then I can't get my arm, and I'm like, that's right, yay. So come on to your side. Let's do right side for those of you who need to coordinate with your neighbor. Or if you're head to feet, then do it the other way, you know what I mean. Get your knees stacked so that one is not coming forward of the other. Feet flexed because that'll help retain that. Where possible, you can use your floor hand and hold the thighs and then begin opening that top arm and closing. And as you do that, I'm hoping you'll experience some marvelous mobility through those ribs and waistline, lat muscles. And try to keep those thighs activated. Sometimes it's helpful to put like a small cushion or block between the thighs. Also make sure your knees are straight forward of your hips. This will help reduce pull on the low back, and generally you'll get a better stretch. And then enjoy the world behind you with that back arm. Palm up into the sky can be marvelous. Sometimes it feels great to kind of rotate like you're turning the world's largest doorknob. Because again, all these nerves, and we were talking about nerve flossing, all these nerves go up through the armpit, shoulder, into the neck. It's all connected all the way down to the tips of our fingers. Take all the time you like before exploring the other side. Spinal twist is one of those things that I often doesn't appeal to me. Like I don't think, oh my God, I can't wait to do a spinal twist. And then every time I do it, I'm like, oh, I need this. Feels so useful. And it's a great discovery place, potentially, for you to get to know, like, how different are you side to side? Is one side a lot more limited, either in the waistline or in the shoulder itself? This is important information, right? If we want to have bodies that are not injury prone when we're out there getting physical, or just, getting out of bed, right? Using the breath in these shapes, when you're in one of those deep open shapes, taking that breath, letting it be big, letting it grow into the intercostal area. When you feel complete, come back to center. It might feel good to hug knees and just kind of rock a little side to side. Maybe take the head a little side to side. And then we'll play with the feet and actually take the soles of the feet and rotate them together so you're in a relaxed butterfly. If you ever feel like tailbone pressure when you do that, sometimes it's necessary to like lift the hips and kind of re-slide them down, lengthening through the low back. And as you're ready, we can turn this into an active pose, a strengthening pose for rooting muscles by raising the hips. So you're just keeping the feet as they were, soles of the feet touching. I know it's a weird shape. If you haven't done it before, you're even kind of like, can I do that? Does my body do that? It does. Supposedly is good for your golf game, if you care. Got any golfers here today? A couple of you, yeah. Because so much about our ability to push or pull a wheelbarrow, for those of you that are not golfers, but to create power, etc., is our rooting capacity. And a lot of that comes from these deep inner thigh glute muscles, pelvic floor. So if you can hang out here for another like 30 seconds, that'd be great. I know the place that I learned about this exercise said, that sometimes they'll have people hold it for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. We're holding it for maybe a little over a minute this morning. I've noticed that doing this exercise actually has helped me change the way that I walk. That I'm much more kind of lifted and less sort of heavy and clumping along with gravity. As you're ready, resettle the hips, let the knees get heavy and settle towards the floor. And then just extend the legs long into your corpse pose. We'll close with some abdominal pumping and then the block under the sacral triangle. And of course, then we'll say you're breathing. Otherwise, right here, inhale, slow, deep, and wide. Exhale, empty and hold out. Begin your abdominal pumping, drawing in and pushing out. In and pushing out. Until you need to breathe, and I hope it just feels like a luscious, generous, deep breath. You might do another round. Again, notice what your body might need from there. Then as you're ready, I invite you to grab hold of your block. If you don't have one and want me to be your runner, I'm happy to do that. Raise the hips, place the block under the sacral triangle. Gently give your weight to it, and personally, I prefer keeping knees bent for a few breaths, and then perhaps exploring the body drape as I think of it. If you go to straighten the legs into that drape, and forward and down, that's an indication that you probably need to move the block just a little further down the body. Remember to work your shoulder blades a little towards each other and under you so that you've got ease in the neck and the upper spine. Always the breath is our change agent. Inhaling, we notice the gap. Exhaling, we notice the gap. Stay here only as long as it feels just so good. A great massage. If you feel any tension building, you want to come off right away. And once you have, you might decide knees to belly or some other final shape would be just the thing before your yogic sleep. Would anyone like delivery of a bolster for reclining against during your resting time? Yes. Brought an extra one in case I can entice them. Or you could be in any shape, you could be on your belly if you loved that feeling of how we began the practice. You could be on your side in embryo pose. You could take your legs up the wall, or for those of you at home, you could have them kind of the lower leg on a sofa or an ottoman. We often say that this is the most important part of our practice. That this is where we invite the body to integrate all of that new information. Letting gravity have your body, sinking down, and down, and down. Invite all the muscles of the face to soften, relax as the whole head gets heavy. Feel that same giving into gravity moving through the rest of the body, through your shoulders and chest, belly, your hips, and of course your arms and legs, and your cheeks and your tongue, jaw are soft. And you witness soft, passive breath rising and settling in the body. Slowly expand your breath. Coming gently where the body of the mat, sense of around you. A wonderful shared practice with other people who came clear attention. And out beyond our doors, of course, the larger flow of life. With what energy would you like to return to that flow? Is there anything in particular that is a goal or intention? Perhaps just about being a certain way as you move through life, trying to be flexible or maintain humor, perhaps in the face of the unexpected or the difficult. One of my goals sometimes is to just be focused and remembering to actually, when I greet other people or say hello, to actually like look at them. Like, it sounds like such a simple thing, but it's a practice that I come to over and over and over again. We have so much in our heads, you know. Oh, I thank you all so much for coming to the mat today. It's been really fun to witness your grace and power, your focus, your humor. I look forward to seeing you again at the mat. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste. May you remain healthy in all of your weeding and toothbrushing, and raking and vacuuming and baking and all of the things. I'll be thinking of you because you know I do. So glad we could be together today. This is awesome.